remarks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, let me congratulate both of the witnesses on your nominations. And while your roles may not attract the same public attention as the DNI or the CIA director, your responsibilities would be no less vital to our national security. You'll play a key role in ensuring that our intelligence agencies operate both lawfully and effectively. And as Peter, particularly you know, this committee doesn't do a lot of things in public hearings, and I do want to share some of my concerns as we go into these unprecedented times. And because to me, it feels like there are new precedents being set virtually every day. Recently, the Secretary of Defense pulled hundreds of military officers from their duties to lecture them on grooming standards and urge them to ignore stupid rules of engagement, even as Europe is engaged in a land war with Russia and China threatens Taiwan. The president then went further, encouraging the use of American cities as training grounds for the military, while deploying armed soldiers to occupy the citizens and arrest American citizens. Deployments that courts, including judges he appointed, have ruled illegal. Now, to their credit, those officers at Quantico responded with the professionalism and nonpartisan discipline we expect from our men and women in uniform. But the sheer lack of respect shown by President Trump and Secretary Hegseth for our military and for rule of law should concern all of us. But this is not just a matter of respect. I believe the President and some of his administration are continuing to take actions that make America less safe. Early in his term, the President boasted about the capture of the ISIS terrorist responsible for the Kabul bombing that killed 13 American service members. What he did not highlight is how he had actually fired the head of FBI's counterterrorism division responsible for that very investigation. That was not an isolated decision. He also fired the head of the FBI branch that takes down criminal organizations and drug traffickers, as well as leaders of the Bureau's intelligence and cyber divisions. Even, as both you gentlemen know, our adversaries are working around the clock to spy on America and penetrate our critical infrastructure through ventures like Salt Typhoon. He has dismissed the heads of major field offices from Washington to Miami, again, one of the biggest drug enforcement hubs in our country. Together with the FBI director, he's forced out thousands of experienced agents for reasons that appear more political than professional, including, from reports, FBI agents that refused to lie about the 2020 election. And frankly, for reasons that appear more petty than performance-based, like being friends with public critics of the president. According to court filings, even Director Patel has recently acknowledged that these actions may be illegal, but said that his position depended on removing those agents. And this is what is the really shocking news. And I ask all my colleagues to listen. In recent months, nearly a quarter of the FBI agents who handle counterterrorism, cyber, espionage, and other criminal cases have been assigned to immigration cases. In some field offices, that number goes up to 45%. Firing or transferring agents who investigate terrorists, drug traffickers, and sexual predators, and pulling back cyber expertise targeting Chinese and Russian hackers does not make America feel safe. Sadly, I feel like, again, and I've talked to my colleagues about this, this is only a fraction of the damage done to our national security in the last 9 months. Across the intelligence community, the Defense Department, Treasury, and Justice, career experts with decades of service, many in the combat zones, are being pushed out not for poor performance, but for refusing to put loyalty to political narratives above their oath to the Constitution. Matter of fact, the infrastructure that the first Trump administration set up in 2018 in a really good move to ensure safe and secure elections. And it was remarkable what they did in 2018, going after Russian troll farms, Chinese threats to local candidates, and Iranian attempts to stoke violence. All of that operation has been dismantled. And just this week, it was reported in the Wall Street Journal that the DHS disbanded a federal team that once pursued child traffickers and a task force that once focused on stemming the flow of fentanyl. I just don't understand how that's making America safer. Now, Mr. Simmons and Mr. Metzger, you may wonder what this has to do with you and the jobs that you are being nominated for. And you both bring significant relevant experience to these nominations. Mr. Simmons is a former UVA law professor and principal legal advisor at the State Department. And Mr. Metzger, as we all know, he was a former senior staffer on this committee. You've both served in roles where speaking truth to power and upholding the law were the core responsibilities. If confirmed to these new roles, you'll be called upon to demonstrate that same commitment to speaking truth to power and upholding the rule of law, even when doing so is politically inconvenient. And I believe this moment is not about partisan politics, about whether America will maintain an intelligence community that can operate independently and provide unvarnished assessments of challenges we face. You know better than most that our adversaries are not letting up. Day after day, we see intelligence about how they're becoming more creative, more aggressive, and more coordinated in their efforts to weaken our country. And I worry that the holes the administration is creating in our national security enterprise leaves Americans dangerously vulnerable. Mr. Metzger and Mr. Simmons, if you are confirmed, the men and women you will lead and the American people will expect nothing less than your absolute devotion to truth. Today, I look forward to hearing how each of you intends to uphold that solemn responsibility. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.